Well, hello, YouTubers. Reloading Bench back with you once again. And this is actually reloading content. So I had been to the range a few times over the last period of whatever, and I decided, it's time to make some 223. So after some full-length resizing and such, I thought, okay, let me bust out the Hornady Case Prep Center. And I started to size things up. I was using my camera's always in the way, using my handy dandy gauge on the cutter and the lever. Everything was going very well. I was trimming, chamfer, deburr, everything was good, measuring. I was like, okay, we're good. I can probably take the mat off, clamp this down, and get to business. And then I was thinking, maybe I'll get more aggressive and do some more, because this is out. And then I went to turn it on, and nothing. So obviously when I was I'd done 4 pieces, I'd turn them off, I'd turn off the machine, check everything, how everything looked, I'd measure it, I'm like, okay, we're good, or make adjustments. And then I would turn it on and thought, WTF. I was checking everything, do I have power, everything good, what's going on? And then I remember when I was actually interested in purchasing this, so this goes back a few years, somebody complained about the process of replacing the fuse and how the cover was situated. So I went and I popped the cover, and this is where the fuse is. So this is what I saw. I'm like, okay, there's not a whole lot here. Let's open this up. And I saw my fuse. Actually, I might as well leave this closed for now. So I saw my fuse. Murphy's Law. Too much resistance. It is futile to resist. Saw my fuse. I guarantee the camera will not focus on this, but trust me when I say that filament is separated. So this is a no-go. So I busted out my bionic eyes and tried to read that little fooker, and it says F1.25A L 250 volts. So this is a 1.25 amp 250 volt fuse, and its measurements, millimeters, are diameter 5, length 20. So this is a 5 by 20 1.25 amp fuse. So I thought, okay, cool, I'll just go into my spare parts, because I'm sure Hornady included at least one spare fuse. No go. No go, no spare fuse. So I should have bought this fuse. This is a perfect example of when you need something, you don't have it. I don't have anywhere in my home this size fuse, or this. I have all kinds of shaped fuses, usually mostly for the cars, but I have some of these, but not this size and amperage. So, I jump online. I'm like, okay, does the local big box shop have it? Not really. So I'm thinking maybe check Wally World or one of the car places. Again, these bus fuses aren't real. I'm not going to say real popular or heavy in use, because I quite frankly don't know. But when I go shopping for fuses, this isn't the first thing I think of. So this is a backwards video. We're starting with the problemo, and then we'll work our way back and put things together. I was even thinking, I might as well take this with me. I was thinking of, when I put this back together, maybe leaving the fuse on the outside. And just, routing this connection, pulling this off and routing it through, so that, we kind of got this action going. Methinks that's what I'm going to do, because this fuse will blow again. And taking this whole thing apart, it's not a big deal. It's 2 screws and then 2 nuts. you know, not a big deal. But the fact that nothing really moves back here, you know, is there a reason that I, you know, some will say, oh, it protects it. Yeah, maybe. But, you know, you got to bust all the... So maybe what I'll do is I'll give it one grace, meaning I'll put it back together in its original form, and if that fuse blows again, which I highly believe it will, I will put this probably on the outside of the of this. I'm debating. So while I go fuse shopping, I'll debate. Back in a while. Well, that was an hour and a half of my life I'll never get back, trying to find this size fuse, which is easy to find online. In fact, before I went on my 90-minute quest, I checked our friends at the Rainforest, and they have it. They have a pack of 20 for like $6.99, so $7 for 20. What does that work out to be? So that's $3.50 for 10. That's 35 cents a fuse. God, I wish I would have bought those a year ago, or whenever I got this, because now I'm kind of screwed until I get the fuse, because I went to local shops. Where did I go? I went to, I don't want to put this back together so much. I went to, let's see, at first I went to Wally World thinking, hey, you know, maybe. Because I thought, that's a tiny fuse, I remember what I used to put that one in. You know what? I am not going to put that back together. So I go to Wally World, and actually I will, at least one. Go to Wally World. They had fuses. They had these style fuses, not this size fuse. Hard to talk and put this in. So I'm like, oh, MFer. So I give up on Wally World, and then I thought, okay, you know, there's an auto parts store not too far away. AutoZone, I think, something like that. O'Reilly, one of those. They're both the same thing to me. So I go to the auto place, and that was a bust as well. So again, they have these style fuses, but they have them in assortment packs. And, you know, they talk about the size of the fuse on the back of the assortment pack, but the problem was none of them were small enough in terms of amperage. They were all much larger amperage. So again, that was a no-go. So I will put this away. These tasks are done for this time, because I think it'll take a couple days to get my Rainforest fuses so that we're back in business. So I'll have to go to alternative means of trimming if I plan to trim, which, you know, not a problem, but I was looking forward to using this. So the next segment in this video series will hopefully be in a few days, when naturally the fuse isn't next day delivery. When the fuse shows up and we put it in and we click on and it actually functions. So definitely more to follow. We are back, YouTubers. Reloading Bench with you once again. For you, it's been seconds. For me, it's been days. We did a range visit. In fact, last week I was doing, at night I made a bunch of 55 for me, and then 77 grain for my son and his platform. Little bit difference there. And then we went and we shot all this yesterday. And today I thought, oh, cool. I knew my fuses would be due sometime today by the Rainforest. And if you look at the time, the original delivery was like 9 to 1. And then at 2 something, they're like, by 10 p.m., which, you know, standard for the Rainforest folks. But, you know, hey, I'm just grateful the fuses showed up, because then I will be able to continue with this. But on the same theme of the fuses, which I'll open in a second, I started this afternoon off with doing, so I have currently 3 different dies for my 223 process. One, which, a short while ago I made most recently about my RCBS, I think it was, small base 223, which addressed the issues with the Henry and being able to chamber that nicely with a smooth lever as opposed to drawing blood on my fingers. So I thought, okay, I'll resize 50 small base because I don't shoot lever a lot, and I thought I'll just set aside 50. So I busted out the iron press and did resize 50. And by the way, I've been using Imperial sizing wax for years and love this stuff. This, I think, is the best stuff on the market, me personally. So, and it just takes a touch. So I was working my way through, what do we got here? Maybe 50, 75. And I thought to myself, I can't remember if this particular die, even though I have it listed as the 223 full-length resizer, I thought to myself, I wonder if one day I decided just to swap the full-length resizer with the neck sizer, the one that comes with, or that I had in my 223 setup. And so I busted that out because that's what I used to make, the 223 the other night. And I recall getting some damaged, couple of, in fact, where, oh, I dumped them at the range. Yes. So I had a couple of damaged casings. Something unusual for me. Damaged in the sense that it went down the side, the decapping pin went down the side. I'm like, what the heck's going on? And I just noticed that the session wasn't as smooth as it could have been. Well, I found out why. It's because you might not be able to see the little arch, the little bend there. And this is after straightening it in the vise. So on my 223 turret set, I looked, and sure enough, this was not centered. And it, I could move the brass around enough to center it to get in there, but then it wasn't popping the primer because the pin wasn't aligned. So I spent the, in the same fashion of the extra fuses, I knew, so this happened years and years and years ago. So at the time when I went to buy a new pin for the full length, for the neck resizing, I knew that, I needed to buy some extras. And I did, but it's been so many years, it took me the last half hour searching nooks and crevices on my bench and storage areas to find the replacement, which I just did. So I popped that in, and I have one more replacement. So I will order one more of these. And again, this happened so many years ago, hasn't been an issue. But this is the same, conceptually, the same issue as our buddies, the fuses. So I'll move this stuff off, and I will bust out our fuse replacements, and then later on I'll be online ordering another resizing pin. So, or decapping pin for my resizing die. So, let me open our fuses up. Little tiny, it's right there, it's very tiny, hopefully undamaged. Bojack, not Billy Jack, but Bojack. Maybe that's Billy's brother. Billy and Bojack. Billy Jack Bojack. I remember when I was a Ute, the bus, we called these bus, and I think that was because of the manufacturer, came in a cute little tin, yellow top and tin bottom. Those days are gone. No more tins. No more tins. So I'll put this on pause, and I will bust out. Let me clear things off a little bit. I will put this process on pause, and we will bust out the Hornady Case Prep Center and see if we can Bojack it. Back in a minute. All right, a few moments later, back to our Bojacks, 20 for $6.99, I think it was. Again, 5 by 20 millimeter, and I did measure this with my calipers to make sure. 5 by 20 millimeter, 1.25 amps. Couldn't find these anywhere. I was driving around last week all over the place, all over town looking for these. All right, so we will put the original back in there just to prove. Just to prove. Just to prove. WTF. How far down does that go? Okay, a little spring action. Goes a little farther than... Oh, effing A. Okay, so you have to know the camera is right freaking in front of me. So I'm doing this off to the right at an angle. Irritated a bit, obviously, because of fudge. Oh, motherfucker. Who knew? With this spring, it would be such a fooker. Oh my God. What a pain in the ass that was. Holy majoli. All right. I'm going to put this in a non-switched receptacle. Boy, if this turns on, I'm going to be pissed. Nothing. Nothing. We will unplug. We will get rid of our, what I know to be a dead. Don't need these flying all over the garage. Looks like there's a double latch on here. We will grab one of them. Thank you, Mr. Bojack. Boy, that doesn't snap together like it did originally. Okay, this fucking spring here is the bane of my existence. Alright, now that I know what the heck I was doing, let's make sure it's off. We are off. We have power. Please work. Okay, I don't know if you can hear it, but you can see. And what was funny is I spent all that time and had everything set up to do a much smaller batch of 223. But now that we will unplug, make sure we're unplugged. Yep. Much smaller batch of 223. And wasn't expecting this to go out of commission. So now that I have, this is kind of like the ratchet on the Lee turret, the little plastic ratchet that if you don't have spares, it will break or round out and be useless, and then you will be out of commission. Where if you have spares, you'll never ever need to change it. So now that I have spares for this, that I will keep in my Hornady kit of goodies. Now that I have spares, methinks I will never, ever, 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 ever have this happen again. So I am going to put it back together as it was originally, with everything inside the case, and if inside this particular enclosure, and if it does pop again, that's going to come to the outside. So back in a second when everything's together. Back together and re-verified. Tested one. We'll do another. Actually, we'll do both these. So pop it in, cam down, trim if needed. And a little chamfer and deburr. So since tonight's task, if I have it centered, since tonight's task will be the resizing, the full-length resizing with what looks to be a couple hundred rounds, is probably going to take enough time to where this activity, and it just does a beautiful job. I don't know if the camera's picking that up. Beautiful job. But yeah, this won't happen tonight simply because my original intent was to do a much smaller batch. Maybe I'll do, you know, the 223 small base since I have this out. But I will take the mats off and clamp this to the table so that I don't have any rocking issues when I'm doing it. So that is it for covering the base on not having spares. What did I do with my little not having spares? So this one didn't put me out of business. It just stopped me for about 30 minutes while I tried to find where it was. This one did put me out of business. That was a complete showstopper, one-off. My son was like, "Oh, you should call Hornady. They'll probably send you one." I'm like, "Yeah, they might." But you know, now I have 19 more of these from Bojack. So my kits continue to grow and multiply, so that you know, again, that's part of the hobby. One thing breaks, you fix, and you plan for the break the next time, and then it doesn't break again. So I'd much rather have a spare than not. So good stuff. That's it for tonight. Later.